Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Digital Presence Update, where today's topic is going to be about Agentic AI, moving from helping to doing. Got a lot more to talk about today about that, but want to make sure that we are 100% on the same page and looking forward to continuing the conversation that we had from last session a couple of weeks ago and getting a little more into the weeds on what it is that's going on in the world today, specifically when it comes to AI and more importantly, digital presence. I know that this has always been an interesting show for some. Looking forward to getting feedback, by the way. I may put a wonderful, what's the word looking for? Some sort of questionnaire asking in a poll what people are thinking about, what they'd like to hear about next, stuff like that. So that way everybody can be on the same page. So here's the opening, guys. AI is moving into a new phase. I know that's a phrase a lot of people hear all the time, but it's the truth. For the last few years, most conversations about AI have focused on what it can generate, like words, images, emails, ideas, blah, 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 blah. The last one's a little sketchy, to be honest with you, but ideas in AI are not exactly what I would call accurate. But we're moving into a phase right now where AI doesn't just help create something, okay? It can start helping manage what happens next. So, to distinguish it, the distinction is this, guys. Generative AI creates an output, right? Automation follows a fixed rule. Okay. With me so far, right? Agentic AI, however, can evaluate a situation, choose from permitted actions, and continue through a multi-step process. This doesn't mean fully unsupervised machines replacing strategy. I just want to get that out of the way first. But it does mean that software is becoming more proactive. Not reactive, proactive. AI is moving from assisting with tasks no longer needing to just assist with said tasks, right? AI is moving from assisting with tasks to helping manage outcomes. So, and I really want to pinpoint again, back in May, Google's recent search reinforcements really reinforced this shift. Okay. As you can see right here, we had this video up and running in the past. Really, it is the new shift to Agentic AI for most people. Now, Agentic AI has been around for a little over a year now, but this, Google basically let the cat out of the bag and made it accessible to a lot of people, right? So a lot of people's first experiences with Agentic AI is going to be with Google's Gemini's new updates and AI modes. Okay, so it's going to be really interesting to see. That being said, okay, what does agentic AI actually mean? I guess is the question a lot of people are going to be asking then. Because if they got AI mode, what's the difference? Right? Why do I care? Well, again, when this happens, do that. That's what automation typically is like right now without agentic AI. That is what a lot of your automations you guys are doing right now probably look like. So example would be like, form is completed, email gets sent out, right? Review is received, notification is created, a contact in your CRM is added, so a campaign begins, right? Think you go high levels, think your bird eyes, right? Automation. This is typical stuff, right? We've seen this for a very long time. This is nothing new. But here's the thing, Agentic AI can go much further than that. And it can observe what happened after the fact, interpret the context, before it even before like of what the actual automation is trying to do, like why the automation happened, or even better, no automation at all. Just what is the context of what it sees, and then make a determine whether an action is needed or not. Right. Select an approved response or workflow. Right. Stuff like that. Continuing monitoring the result after the fact. So I'll take a use case scenario for you right now. Say that you have a client, right, and you have just completed, or became a client. They used your service. Then you finish that service and you have sent out a review request, as you should, to that happy client now. And that review request wasn't sent by you manually. When you sent out the invoice and the customer paid the invoice kickstarted an automation that sent out a review request. Okay. Now, what happens? And it's great. Somebody sends back the review response, and they leave a review for you, and you respond to it, all the whole 9 yards. Yes, you do all those things. That is a wonderful automation that helps. But here's the thing: what happens if you have a review request being sent out every month because every month someone pays an invoice because you have a monthly recurring service? Well, naturally, you probably have safeguards that have in place on your automations to delay responses or whatever, right? Maybe don't send it out every single year, or for a year, maybe don't send it out until a year later or 6 months later. That's typical, right? But here's the thing. What if you didn't have to worry about that at all? Agentic AI can be like, hey, these guys have already submitted a review response. If they haven't submitted a review response, send them the review anyway, right? But then if they have, we don't need to send it to them again. And that could be something that just happens all the time without you having to be specific. That's a great use case of Agentic AI. And then even better, if they leave you a negative review or a omitting review, maybe the Agentic AI can go in and go ahead and respond via email and say, hey, is there something better that we could have done to make your review a 5-star or a higher review? Or if it's a 5-star review, it could say, thank you so much for everything you did. I'm glad we were able to come out and do X, Y, and Z, and be specific. That is the power. You not having to hold its hand. You set the boundaries. It's doing the things it needs to do. So, the thing is, though, as I want to be very clear, I'm not saying that this is unlimited autonomy. Okay, it's not something that cannot be checked. The word agentic does not mean a business should hand over its reputation and walk away. That is the last thing you should do. You need to have defined permissions for your agentic AI. You need to have brand roles, approval points, human escalation, outside of the agentic AI, and of course, quality control. And most importantly, you need to have accountability. Listen, the current industry guidance emphasizes governed execution rather than uncontrolled autonomy. That is just not something that needs to take place. A great example of that is definitely found in our own wonderful friends that we have, Bird Eye. We are a Bird Eye powered agency. Our digital presence platform is powered by Bird Eye, just to get that out of the way. And more importantly, as you can see at the top here, governed AI execution for large multi-location brands. This is where things become interesting, right? And I love how it goes through all the different things that we talk about all the time, the signals, the trust signals. If you guys have never actually looked at Bird Eye's information, it is very verbose and is honestly some of the most content-rich understanding of how AI is affecting in terms of visibility for businesses. I highly recommend looking at this stuff. But I think the most important understanding of agentic AI is going to come from them, especially with their inclusion now of super agents coming in and being able to spin out potentially hundreds of agents, literally defined through context they create. Of course, through your governance. That is the important part, because as we get more and more Autonomous, there needs to be stricter guidelines. I do not advocate setting it and forgetting it. It just does not work that way. You need to manage it in some capacity. It's like steering a ship. Guys, the captain does not just go, we're going that way, and then go back to his goes back to sleep. Yeah, he at least guides it. He at least handles things and steers. He makes sure that we're going in the right direction. He plots courses. He may have people assist him with that, but at the end of the day, he is ensuring that everything is as it should be. He does not just simply let go of the wheel and let the Tesla ram directly into a freaking house. I hope you guys have seen some of the things that have been out there for self-driving cars. The many instances of Waymos and potentially like not having a good day, having issues, of which I'm sure they're all bugs, and I'm sure they're working on them. But the fact is that you have many instances of things just not working the way it should. And it's because, in all honesty, these things could have been avoided by having more governance over the autonomous system. I won't go more into that because I don't want to definitely make it seem like I'm badgering anybody, but I definitely think it's important that people remember that oversight is necessary in all cases here for AI. So an agentic system might detect several unanswered reviews, for instance, and prepare like appropriate responses, like I mentioned. Identify a gap in social activity, right? And recommend content tied to maybe customer interests, stuff like that. The value is not that the system does everything. The value is that fewer important things are forgotten. Things are not slipped through the cracks. That is the power that Agentic AI really has. So anyone who tells you that it's set it and forget it, you don't have to do anything except push a couple buttons and then you can leave it alone for months at a time. They're lying to you. Or they're trying to steer you in the wrong direction. Or worse, they don't know what they're talking about. And again, this is not a single source of truth podcast. I understand that we do have a little bit of a bias when it comes to making sure people understand that we have great services and we're great consultants when it comes to these sorts of things. By the way, you can consult with us about any of the topics that we're talking about right now, and we will absolutely help you. And we also have software services that help take care of all the problems that we talk about. But our first and foremost intent is to help small businesses and medium businesses punch above their weight class, to go after big businesses and succeed. That is why I talk about the Agentic AI like this, because this is exactly one of the most powerful things you can do, but at the same time, potentially one of the most dangerous things you can do. Especially if you let it run rampant. I mean, that's crazy talk, to be honest with you. Don't just let it do whatever, right? Don't let the Agentic AI take over everything you want to do. You need to steer the ship, or you're going to have terrible quality assurance. It's just going to go out the door. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. So here's the thing. I want you to think about it this way, because I know people are like, okay, well, I don't want to use Agentic AI, and that's cool. You certainly can do that. Absolutely. But let's talk about the flip side of this. Okay. And then maybe see if you're still in that camp. Okay. Not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that there's more things that need to be considered beyond how you feel. Because what if your next customer uses an AI agent to find you, potentially, or your potential next customer in this case? Look, the other side of Agentic AI is even more important, in honesty, because businesses are not the only ones gaining agents. Like I mentioned with Google just a minute ago, customers are gaining them too. So AI mode from Google can support longer conversational search, right? Because of this. Search Live allows voice, and camera-based conversations is in more than over 200 countries, by the way, and territories, as they said so. And Google is expanding agentic booking and local service capabilities. That's one of the big things I want people to understand. There's literally agentic booking and service capabilities that Google is rolling out, which we've had access to already for over a year. But your average person that is not in the know is going to now have in the know capability. I don't know how much it's going to cost or if it's going to cost anything. I imagine it will cost something, but Anyway, the point is that AI may increasingly help users narrow choices before those users ever visit a website or they ever see anything else about you. They're going to narrow down the list. They're going to gatekeep. I keep saying that over and over again, and they already are gatekeeping. These artificial intelligence will only do more of it. Google is already gatekeeping people's businesses. If you have wondered why you can't rank, it's not, and you're doing all the right things, it's not because you're not doing the right things. You're doing the right things 5, 10 years ago. That's what you're doing. It's not about ranking anymore. And it hasn't been for a long time. The sooner you realize that, you're already late to the game, to be honest with you. If you think that you still rank based off of SEO alone, web SEO alone, that's just not the truth. That is one trust signal out of like 10. So you basically are fighting with one finger instead of, two hands. Get away! Help! It's not working. Don't do it that way. Look, a future customer is probably going to ask things like, find a highly rated contractor near me who handles this repair, specifically this repair, right? Or compare 3 local clinics with a good recent reviews they've had. Or find a pet groomer, right? Open Saturday and contact them for me. Which local business appears most reliable for this service? So the AI is going to do something at that point. The viewers, the person who's doing it's not going to actually see it, right? The customer doesn't know what's about to happen. But you do, especially if you follow Task Solutions and listen to what we say. You've heard all this before. The AI is going to check things like website content, Google business profile data, reviews and sentiment, operating hours, service descriptions, location information, mentions across trusted sites, Reddit, social media, news articles. It's going to dig and it's going to check consistency between all these sources. The customer journey at the end of the day may begin with a machine deciding whether your business deserves consideration. Clip that. I'm talking to my AI, by the way, when I say that. Not every AI sees a universal trust score, by the way. I know a lot of it. We've talked about the trust score a lot. But every artificial intelligence, especially every LLM, and definitely every single agentic AI, is going to see things a little differently. There's no single public score that controls everything. There's no stored data anywhere that has a score. I want y'all to remember that. The trust score is calculated every single time there is an input from a client or customer, potential customer, right? Or from you, right? It is calculated every single time. There's no consistent database score of you, okay? It measures and weighs and weights, right? All the different things and the trust signals around it, around the subject, the context of what is being asked of it, is going to weigh all those things in real time. That's the point I'm trying to get across, okay? So there is no digital trust score that is just there, okay? It is not a what's a great it is definitively not a credit score. Like it is not that at all. Because a credit score is derived, right? It's actually like stored away. It's listed, right? This is not that. It has the bandwidth and the capability and the computational power to just make the decision right there and then. There is no trust score on the internet. It is calculated every time there's a query. Okay, I think I've beaten that enough. I just want to make sure I get it out there. Now, and what really is important to take away too, and I want to mention another article because these things are always very, very useful. Okay. Specifically, it is 30 times harder to become visible, apparently, on any LLM at the moment than just ranking on Google traditionally. Think about that for a second. Think about that for a second. Do you think you're going to be able to advertise your way out of this problem? Do you? Do you think that? Here's the article. Y'all take a look at that. If you think you're going to be able to advertise your way out of this problem, you are sorely mistaken. You will not be able to web SEO your way out of visibility. 30 times harder. This is exactly why the services at Task Solutions exist, because this is the problem that the enterprise level people knew was coming. They all the corporations knew this was coming. Okay, because they have all the technology has been geared towards this situation right now. We were always going to have to deal with gatekeeping eventually. Definitely take a look at this article, peruse through it, understand it when you get the chance, because this is something in the future that is only going to become more and more difficult over time. I just wanted to get it out there. Now let's move on. Why Agentic AI raises the value of digital presence. Agentic AI does not make digital presence less important, obviously, is what I'm gearing at here. But it does make every part of digital presence more and more connected because it's checking everything. All the channels are not just little islands anymore. They're all connected because AI has the energy and the time, because it never gets tired, and as long as it has the energy from externally, right? It just keeps going, keeps trucking along. It doesn't lose focus. Okay. So it'll discover that a weak website gives the system incomplete information and just go, oh, well, probably not worth your time considering they got a weak website. So they won't show the website to anyone. No one knows it exists because it was a weak website. Outdated listings, across the internet will create uncertainty, so it won't show you because of that. Poor reviews weaken confidence, so guess what? It won't show you because of that. Inconsistent services confuse, categorization, because maybe you have services listed on your Facebook that are a little different from services on your website. Oh, confusion, so it won't show you because of that. Your business. I'm not talking about your website, by the way. I'm talking about your business. Anything related to your business. Social media pages, content that you've put out, blog articles. Yeah, it will gatekeep your business. If you don't have any recent activity because the business appears less current, it won't show you because of that. Generic content, you got that? If you got AI made content that it really is just generic because you haven't specified and have that brand voice conversation with your AI and held it accountable and steered the ship, quality check it, it will actually limit you because of that. How about that, by the way? AI that literally will gatekeep you because you're using generic AI. Your website should be the clearest, most complete version of your business. That's why that's so important. Of all the things that's out there, that can be your single source of truth. Your website needs to explain who you are, what you do, where you operate, where you serve, how to contact you, what makes you qualify, what current customers say. The structured data that you have on your website is a way of labeling the important information so the machines can understand you and all the other stuff connected to you, be it Google business profiles, social media accounts, listings, all that stuff. And it'll make it have less guesswork. It'll give it context. It can help search and AI systems interpret business identity, location, services, hours. All things are listed. Here's the thing. If you have a verbose website, you solve a lot of problems. You give the systems a single source of truth, and more importantly, all the agentic AI, if you adopt agentic AI, that is running all of your other things like your listings, your reviews, everything else that you have it doing so that you don't have to do the repeated tasks, it will essentially look at your website as the single source of truth and then adopt everything else around it. So that way consistency happens. Okay. And you barely have to do anything about it. You can make digital presence easy. Of course, you have to know how. And, TAF Solutions can help with that, clearly. But the point is you have to know how. You conceptually have to know how. I know that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people, just because look, man, if I'm an HVAC guy, I just want to go out and do HVAC. I get that. I really do. I think that's exactly how it should be for you. I really do. And I think that for us, we need to help you with that, right? But also, at the very bare minimum, you need to understand what's going on. It's like driving a car, but not knowing like what an engine is, right? You have to know those things, right? At least on the level that, hey, push pedal, it go, right? It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. But you need to know just enough about your car too, right? So you don't get screwed when it's time to repair it, right? When someone takes advantage of you. We all know that story. We all do. We've all had a moment, right? Or maybe we didn't really understand why it doesn't need to be done. So we got taken advantage of. And we learned a lesson. Well, you probably need to know more about that one thing so I know just enough not to get, screwed, right? I'll point out that Search Engine Land also has another article as well that talks a bit about this wonderful stuff. I'll point it out here. How structured data supports local visibility across Google AI. And this is another great page that I would highly recommend people take a look at, because at the end of the day, you are going to know more about this subject than most other folks will. And it's important to remember that your website, again, needs to have a structured data. So that way it can actually help. Not just your agentic AI, right? But everyone else that's using agentic AI, and just the algorithms in general that were here before AI, because they'll take a look at this too. It's just food for thought. Great article. Good work. Moving on. AI cannot confidently recommend what it cannot clearly understand. It cannot. So manage agentic AI versus another dashboard, right? Is that what we're going to talk about next? Yes, it is. So there is an important difference between having access to agentic technology and actually benefiting from it, in my opinion. Because a business still needs to decide what outcomes matter, right? What the system is allowed to do, how the brand should sound and appear, what requires approval, what should be escalated beyond just, agentic AI chatbot time, or more than just that, like maybe like the voice, calls and stuff like that. And more importantly, how performance is measured. Like, is it to doing a good job? You know, and even more so when the workflow should be changed. Is the AI going to be able to determine that accurately? Probably not. It's just like, government. We have investigated ourselves and have found ourselves not guilty. It's not going to find itself guilty. If anything, it might actually try to find reasons that it should still keep existing. We've seen examples of that, by the way. If you don't believe me, look it up. AI, especially with, I think it was in NVIDIA or something like that, AI tries to save itself, and agentic AI tries to save itself by automatically pulling money, reallocating it. Because he saw emails from higher levels up saying that we need to scrap the project. It's some wild stuff. Again, why you should not let things run autonomously. Anyways, I'll leave it there. Look it up. It's an interesting rabbit hole to go down. Either way, NetTap Solutions, our approach is managed agentic AI. I said it before, I'll say it again. The business does not simply receive another login and a list of features. It's the strategy, the configuration, oversight, and ongoing adjustments that are part of the value. It doesn't mean that, guys, we do offer the ability for you to be able to just have another login if you want, right? And it will turn that way if you don't join our bi-monthly group strategy meetings where I go over, or a member of my team goes over all the nuances of the platform and the strategy involved and gives homework and does all these other things to make it so that you can roll with using agentic AI properly. Because guys, I want to make sure people understand. We strongly believe in reputation monitoring, listings consistency, social content support, visibility tracking, customer communication, reporting and recommendations. Enterprise technology becomes valuable to an SMB only when someone translates it into a manageable business process. Look, AI can be wrong. Automation can amplify a bad instruction. You really can. Brand voice can become generic and just not, and as I told you earlier, will be just completely ignored by other agentic AI because of it. And look, an incorrect action can scale very quickly if not monitored. Human review, it remains essential for sensitive communication. Agentic AI should make a business more consistent, not less accountable. Clip that. So, that being said, it is very important that everybody remembers that guardrails have to be put in place. That's what we call those for agentic AI, for any AI, and for anything that you're doing with your business. Your business needs to thrive without what barriers and what muddiness on the trail that AI and these new search algorithms represent for you guys. It has to. You have to adopt some semblance of digital presence to circumvent what is currently the filtering of the businesses that don't have good digital presence, because that is already happening. If you've had a dip in your business, sure, there's an economy out there that's in some trouble right now. We all know that. No one here anyway is trying to hide that. But at the end of the day, you also have all these other things that are murkying your capability to do business. And that definitely has a massive effect as well, and might actually be contributing to the many problems that we're having. and I would say it does personally, that it definitely has been contributing to the inability for small business to thrive. But you know who is thriving right now? Large business. And guess what they have access to? Enterprise digital presence, which happens to be exactly what I try to help people with. So they can also thrive. But I'm trying to give it to the SMBs, guys. I really am. Here's a quick digital presence update, as we normally do, some quick fire stuff. Google search is becoming more agentic. I know we've mentioned this, but this is the Google Presence Update part. Google announced Gemini 3.5 Flash is the default model in AI mode and expanded agentic booking capabilities to a more local experience and services. For selected categories, search can contact businesses on a user's behalf now. Search is moving beyond helping someone research a business, basically, right? It beginning to participate in the transaction. So y'all's takeaway from that should be this: make service information explicit, keep your hours accurate, make contacting the business easy, ensure your profiles and website also agree with all of that, and explain areas served and appointment availability clearly wherever it applies. Update number 2, local search is increasingly about being chosen, not merely clickable. Search Engine Land, another article, described local search in 2026 as increasingly focused on being selected within AI-driven experiences, not simply earning a blue link click. Traffic still matters, right? But the recommendation is probably going to happen before the website visit. What that means for you guys: optimize for trust and clarity, not traffic alone, and treat reviews and profile information as conversion assets, because they are. And measure calls, messages, and appointments and brand discovery, not only visits. Not only visits. I understand that you want people to come through your door and pay for your service. That is not the only measurement that you need to look at. That is the end result from a very long journey. That is what that is. Sometimes it's a shorter journey than others for some people. If you are not tracking calls, messages, appointments, and branded discovery, are people seeing your stuff? All the insights, all the things of people, impressions, looking at your stuff, those are all massively relevant. And if you're ignoring those things, you are doing so at your peril, because you will not receive the end result, the visit or the payment. It will dry up. It will dry up if it hasn't already. So I had some clients give me the workaround that says, if I don't have butts and seats, it's not working. And I understand that mentality. I do. But it also takes time. It takes time to get the impressions to work. It takes time. This is not digital presence is not something that you pay for 1 month, that you have it for life. It's something you must do all the time. It is a cost of doing business now. Digital presences. Okay. Update number 4. Reviews are becoming input data for AI recommendations. Yelp's AI-powered assistant uses its reviews and photo data to produce tailored business recommendations and explanations. So that means reviews are becoming more than testimonials. That's what that means. They are becoming training data for customer decisions. What that means for you guys is that the ask for genuine reviews needs to happen consistently from now on. And more genuine reviews, by the way. Okay. You also need to encourage useful detail without scripting customers. Ask for more detail in the customer reviews if possible. Just simply ask them a question and if they can write a review about that. And they'll probably follow suit. Respond professionally once the review comes in. And of course, address recurring service problems visible in any feedback that you actually get. Okay. In closing, guys, Agentic AI is not just another content trend. It represents a deeper change in how work gets coordinated and how customers make decisions. Quick recap: businesses will use agents to maintain consistency. Customers will use agents to research and take action. Search engines will increasingly act as intermediaries. Clear, accurate, trustworthy digital presence will become more important than it already is. And 5, human strategy and oversight remains essential. Absolutely essential. And of course, my final takeaway from all of this is the businesses that best positioned for agentic research or search. Sorry, let me try that again. The businesses best positioned for agentic search will not necessarily be the ones using the most AI. It won't. And that's foolish to think so. They will be the ones whose information, reputation, and customer experience give AI and algorithms, and more importantly, people, the clearest reason to trust them. This is Joe Wallace with TAP Solutions, helping you make sense of what's changing so you can keep moving forward. I'll see you next time.